Okay, so welcome back to season 2 of Meet the Afroballers podcast. I am your host, Ivy Winfrey, and with me today is a very special guest. I mean, they're all very special guests. I feel like I start off every podcast by saying that, but this one in particular, a former champion with the Dallas Mavericks who has had a remarkable career that reflects his rich tapestry, his rich heritage of being African, Jamaican, as well as French. Born and raised right here in France. This man's journey to the NBA is a testament to the power of dedication and talent. But beyond that, what's most impressive is his on-court success, but also his off-court success. He is a key investor in NBA Africa and a visionary for the continent who is committed to nurturing young talent across the world. Ian Mahinmi, once again, welcome to the podcast. We are right here. We're right to your home. How are you?
I'm great. What a great intro. Wow.
You know what? That's 2 for 2 today. That is 2 for 2 today. Maybe I'll just do podcast intros.
Oh my gosh, this was amazing. I'm like, oh man, you really know me.
And look, I actually really do and have since like I was 10, 11 years old. But beyond that, I think it's really important to set the tone. That's why I always put so much emphasis on this. But I'm so excited to be in your backyard. How's it going?
Oh, it's good. It's
Good.
really good to be here. Obviously the Olympic Games are here. Yeah, it's a good time to be in Paris.
I was gonna say it's a good time to be in Paris, and apparently it's also a good time to be French because we just got done watching an incredible basketball game between France and Germany. Now let me ask you this: watching that, does that competitive spirit ever leave a player? Like it's down to the wire here across from Bercy Arena. Do you still feel it?
No, seriously, like it's so crazy when I watch games sometimes. It's like you could see yourself in the game.
Oh
Like,
wow.
well, sometimes it's like like when I come into game or I do, like I could see myself preparing to go into a game, or it brings me memory, like how do you feel after win, after a tough loss.
Tough loss.
So, I don't think these emotions never go away. And watching a game is always a quick reminder of what it used to be. It's actually good feelings.
I was gonna say it brings back very, very tangible. And when you say that, let's talk about obviously growing up here, being of very, very rich heritage. Were those dreams of making it to the NBA what they really felt like when you got there? Like when you actually actualized those dreams? And I mean, did it feel like how you felt when you were younger and thought about that process, or was it something that you thought about from a very young age?
Not really. Ivy, I want to be honest, I never really dreamed about being an NBA player.
That's okay. We like honest because that's some kids need to hear that. You know what I'm saying?
I always tell people kind of like basketball picked me, right? I started, I was a soccer player, right? So played soccer all the way till 11, right? And then I made the switch. And the crazy thing happened that I became good at it quick, so I was playing professional at 16 years
Wow.
old.
5 years to go pro. That's
So
crazy.
it's like everything went fast, and then I was drafted by the Spurs when I was 18,
Yes.
and it's like everything went super fast for me,
Yeah.
where I never really dreamed about being an NBA player. Obviously, when I started playing the game, I
It
watched.
starts to be where you're headed in a certain
Yes,
point, right?
and to be fairly honest, my first intro to the game was more the N1 mixtape. That's really what made me really, really enjoy and love watching basketball.
Wow. Okay.
N1 mixtape was like the Bible or the Quran or whatever. I watched it so many times. We had like sleepovers with my boys with all night.
That is
We're just watching N1 mixtapes and
The Professor's popularity out here is insane. Obviously, the documentary came out, and great story and whatever have you. So to hear you say, and clearly the global impact that had on sport,
but it wasn't like just like the way they played. It's the everything.
everything coming together,
Yes,
right?
the obviously the hip hop
The
culture, the
music,
music,
the
the way they
fashion,
dressed,
yeah,
the
yeah.
swag, all of this. Like I was like, show, like
That's real French, though. I feel like that is very reminiscent of what this culture is thinking, and it's very similar to I feel like what the tapestry of Paris is. It's the music, it's the people, it's the fashion, and then you throw sport in there. That's probably what was the last component you needed, and it was like, bam, I have everything I need.
exactly.
I love that. I love that. Now you obviously spoke about being drafted to the Spurs. Talk about this key relationship between this franchise and France. It has been a long-standing one between you and Tony Parker and now Victor. Talk to us a little bit about that.
No, I think the Spurs are they were innovative innovative and also open-minded to international players. So I think that obviously trusting international player to become big part of big franchise like that was a key, an eye opener for a lot of franchise, and I think that Tony Parker obviously opened the door for a lot of us. So for me, the fit was perfect because, it's first off, the Spurs drafted me in '05, so they had just won a chip, right? So being drafted by the team that won the championship was already an
It's a
honor.
very promising feeling, right?
It's so dope, right?
Yes.
And then, when I got there, it's almost like I felt like I didn't belong there because when I walked in the locker room, I always remember it's like I'm looking to my right, I see Tony Parker, on my left, Bruce Bowen. Those are my two my two teammates, right and left, Tony Parker, Bruce Bowen. But then I looked across, I had Tim
It's this man
Duncan,
named Tim Duncan somewhere around here. You know what I mean?
Manu Ginobili, like Robert Horry. I had Mike Finley, like Fabricio Berto, Francisco Elson, Kurt Thomas. I had
Talk about imposter syndrome. It's like
exactly. I'm like,
you know?
I'm like, what am I doing here?
Yeah,
Like, this is
yeah,
crazy.
Yeah.
And you know, to realize that these greats were just cool human beings, and obviously they have created this culture where being international was cool. It was cool. You had to bring a different flavor to the table,
Yeah.
and you were welcome, and you were accepted for who you
For who
were.
you are, most importantly.
Exactly. They knew I had a strong French accent,
Yeah, yeah.
and all these things was
Yeah.
embraced by the team, and
Yeah.
so you couldn't ask for a better fit as an international
Yeah.
player coming into the
Come into
Spurs.
this, yeah.
So overall, great experience. Obviously, Pop is like a second father to all of us. He's mastered the way to be strict, but at the same time give you that fatherly love,
Yeah.
and also be tough to raise you, and to mold you into a man and a player that you need to be for the Spurs. So
1000%. And you said that the human, but also the player. You know what I mean? And one thing, obviously, for international players, it's really important to note that they are typically leaving their safe haven, and going into a space where they need a fraternity of sorts, right? And Pops, once again, shout out to a legendary coach to creating a culture that helps you develop not only as a person, but as a player, not only for his team, but for your life in general,
because it's a tremendous change when you leave. Like, it's like me, I left France,
yeah.
to go to San Antonio. It's
Yeah.
like two world, right? Two different world. It's crazy. Like, it's
Talk about a
nothing-
culture shift.
Exactly. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So coming in, I was 18.
Yeah.
So it's so young.
You're still growing.
You're still growing,
Right.
but you're growing physically and mentally.
Mentally as well, right.
So, having this structure in place where, you still able to be young, to do, what a 18, 19,
To
20
make
year
your
old,
mistakes, live your life.
but at the same time,
Yeah.
away from your family,
Yeah.
but having this
But
new
having
family.
a family at the same time.
It's so all of this is it's what the Spurs is providing, and that's why when you look at Victor now, I couldn't wish for a better environment for him to flourish,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
everything is there for him to become who he needs to be.
It's almost like in a weird way, it's like guaranteed, right? Like when systems are tried, tested, improved, it's like, wow, you know where this is going. You've seen this a few times before,
Exactly.
Yeah.
It happened with myself. It
Yeah.
happened with Tony.
Yeah.
It happened with Tim
Manu,
Duncan, Manu
Tim,
Ginobili,
yeah.
and many more after that. So, it's a recipe for success.
Yeah.
And I'm happy for him, and for me, it was the best foundation of my career.
Yeah. But hold up, though. I mean, I know you had a great time in SA, but you won your championship with the Dallas Mavericks. Yeah, I'm just listening.
Hey, the crazy thing, huh?
Yes.
The craziest thing is that,
Yeah.
okay, so I get drafted by the Spurs,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
They just had won a championship, and at the rate they were going, they were winning every other year,
Other
right?
year, right.
So I'm thinking, for sure I'm getting the chip. For sure.
Still God say, hold my cup.
Seriously. I'm like, okay, So I'm there 3 years,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
No chip,
yeah,
nothing.
yeah.
And then the first year I leave, I sign with the rival, the
Uh-huh.
Mavs. I won a chip with the Mavs.
I-35, baby.
Come
Isn't that?
on.
I mean, you said it. You started off this podcast by saying this game picked you. So again, you couldn't write this script in a better way because leaving a rival to then come to Dallas for, and funnily enough, to come to Dallas to a place that also found a way to embrace an international player. And Dirk Nowitzki, and at that time, like the roster was pretty stacked. Talk to us a little bit about, what that experience and how that influenced your life as a basketball player and development and being on a championship winning squad.
I mean, this changed your whole life. Obviously, people will never really understand. If you win, you understand. If you won, you understand. But winning a championship is going to take everything you have in the tank, like everything. And doing it with a group of guys, that group of guys is forever abundant, right? When I see those guys that won the chip with me, we greet ourselves calling us each other champs.
Champs, come
We
on
don't
now.
call each other by
No.
our first name,
No, no.
and it goes with the wives, the kids. It
Family,
created
everything.
a special bond because it really, really took a whole group of people to come together, to win that chip, and it was such a tremendous experience.
I mean, even down to this year, obviously, how did it, to your point, members of the team were present this year during the finals run,
Yeah.
of course, and the rousing welcome and love that you'll forever have from the city is undeniable. But how did it feel to see the squad back there again, but not really make that same, be able to, bring it on home?
So, I mean, obviously, every team has its story, So, uh, understanding what it takes to win a championship, it's you could just congratulate the Boston Celtics because you know the ups and downs. I mean, I know how hard it is, to get there, and it wasn't the time for the Mavs to win this year. When you look at what the Celtics has been
Over the
going
years.
through over the last few
Yeah,
years,
yeah.
it's fair.
I think that's what they say, may the best team win. And that's no knock to the other team, right? But at the same time, there's always a developmental process. And there's always a winner, and there'll be another winner. And I don't think about it's not a
Exactly.
loss, it's a lesson because you definitely come out of there with, how to
Absolutely.
tweak that game. I love that. Now, look, so there's a little talk that you left the NBA to become an investor in the league that we love in NBA Africa. So, look, I'm just here to set the record straight. Is there any truth to that,
Yeah. So after the bubble season, so I was free agent, and that's when this came on my desk, an opportunity to invest in NBA Africa, right? So when that came to me, I was like, sure. I was already doing so much things with NBA Africa. I was already doing my camps every summer. I was doing a lot of things, and for me, it became one of my big focus was the development of basketball on the continent. And when that came across, I was like, okay, absolutely, sign me in. But then the league came
Until
back
there
to
was
me.
somebody who came and said, excuse me,
Exactly.
conflict of interest much?
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
And then it was like, okay, obviously, if you want to be an investor, then you have to retire, or else you continue.
Right.
So, those were the big talks and big reflection that I had at that time. But, to be fairly honest with you,
Were you ready?
I was ready because I had always seen myself as more than just an NBA player. I always wanted to do and have a bigger impact than just bouncing a basketball, and my mind was already shifted towards that. So I didn't hesitate too long. I know what I wanted to do, and then I made the investment. I had a short window
A very
to
short to decide.
to decide, and
Yeah.
I made it,
Yeah.
and
And the rest is history.
exactly.
I love that. But, obviously, to your point, from the time you've been in the league to now, you are an ambassador, literally, but then also, you put your money where your mouth is. And right now, you've been reconnecting with your roots in Benin. Can you talk to us a little bit about what you're doing there? But then also, are you considering the same initiatives potentially in Jamaica? Obviously, here has been a thing. But yeah, what does that look like for Benin? And then, where does Jan's global initiatives look like from here on out? Because we know you're not going to restrict yourself to just Africa, right?
No, and everything is growth and it's slow processing things. So in 2016, with my foundation, the Ian Mahinmi I Am Foundation, I I've started to I kind of funnel and gather all my thoughts as far as how can I have an impact in Benin through my foundation. So we started to do camps, and those camps went very, very well. I have a lot of success stories where boys and girls have now become professional athletes and they're doing amazing things. So when I invested in NBA Africa, my vision was okay, how can I have an impact on sport industry, with the African landscape, which the NBA Africa gave me that platform. We shortly after that launched the BAL.
Yeah.
That's having a tremendous impact as
Right.
far as I came across this stat. So once I retired, I went back to Harvard and I did my
Slight flex, you know what I mean? I just got done playing in the NBA. I got a lot, but I mean, hey, look, you got more in the tank, right? So continual education. I love that. I love that. HB, okay.
so into sport business, and so one of the big stats that I was exposed to, and it was kind of a smack in the face. The industry of sport generates 500 billions every year, right? It's a massive cake,
Globally,
right?
right.
And the African continent only brings 2% of that cake. So for me, it's like, oh my gosh, like, why? So then when you go and you dig down and you understand, okay, lack of infrastructure, lack of human resources, boom, boom, boom. There's a lot of things that we're lacking. So I saw a gap, right? It's like, okay, how can I change that number quickly? Obviously, we're doing it with NBA Africa and the BAL, but I said, I have to do something at home. That's very important for me that locally I have an impact on this industry. So I started my company called Tailoring Sport Investment, where we uh, we cater to public sector, private sector that wants to grow the sport, right? Sport, basketball, any sports endeavors, right? In 5 different sectors: digital tools,
Yep.
infrastructure,
Management.
events, everything that's health and
Wellness
well-being.
related. Uh-huh.
And the last one is academic, certifications for all the professionals that are around the players, right? So that has been going amazing.
Yes.
I get a lot of demands. It,
Yeah.
it takes a lot of my time.
Yeah.
So to tie that in, what we do with NBA Africa and the BL, to tie that in, what we do with my foundation, I think like I have a
It's a healthy
360.
ecosystem, right? Because I mean, I think we talk a lot about the charitable component. Carmelo was here earlier, and we were talking about like, look, we can only put up so many basketball courts and give so many basketballs and build so many teams. At a certain point, we have to start asking ourselves, okay, what's next? And what's next looks like developing the entire ecosystem, which, like you said, includes other sport. It includes professionals. It includes the youth pipeline. It includes everything that we know to funnel this $500 billion
Come on,
global industry, which
annual.
should, as the numbers, and to your point, numbers don't lie, right? So if the African population in the next 25 years is slated to be half of the youth in the world, the numbers should then match that. A lot of that revenue comes from the continent. So to your point, kudos to you, because that seems like being a solution. You know what I mean? To a whole heck of a lot of
Somewhat.
problems at the same time. Now look, I'm a woman. I'm raising a daughter. One of the questions I always have is, okay, we have NBA Africa, which exists to grow the NBA brand on the continent. We have the BAL, which exists again to grow opportunities for the game, for people to play the game at that level on the continent. When are we going to see the female sports or female arm for the BAL? Is there a holdup? Is there what can
That's
we
a
do?
tough
You get what I'm saying?
question.
I know it's tough, but we gotta ask the tough questions, right?
Exactly, and
Right.
those are the questions that we ask ourselves all the time.
Yeah.
Obviously we want to have a WBAL. We want to,
Yes.
but it's about maturity of the market.
Right.
It's about understanding that all of this has to be part of a business model that's sustainable. So we started with the men's, but obviously all along we don't want to wait
Too long.
too long.
Yeah.
So we have initiative with BL for her. We have her time to play with NBA Africa. So we are bringing in the women as we grow, but the intention is to obviously bring awareness, and grow this WNBA branding also.
Right.
And we want to have more women playing the sports, and we want to have a league
But
Listen,
sustainability is key, and in sustainability, you have to plant the seeds in order
exactly,
for them to grow for a long time, right?
absolutely. I have
Right.
3 daughters, huh?
You already know.
So,
I
so
know.
I want my daughter to exist in this industry,
Right,
right?
right.
But it's also bringing awareness to all these other jobs around athletes,
1,000%.
because for me, that's why sometimes we are lacking education. Is you don't have to be. Matter of fact, the 1% are going to be professional.
You're looking at one right sitting across from you. You understand?
Exactly.
Right,
So
right,
there's so many other opportunities
right,
around
right,
athletes that women can benefit from,
right,
and can venture careers,
right.
and can thrive, and be happy and provide for their family,
Yeah, yeah.
and
I
be
mean, shout out to
complete
Claire. NBA Africa now has a
CEO.
CEO. Exactly, exactly.
So,
Yeah, yeah.
that's also the message that we want to bring to women, but in
Is
general.
that you're important to the ecosystem as it exists, not necessarily from a player standpoint. Right,
Exactly.
right, right.
And it's also proven that, sports is developing all these values that are key
Hmm.
to later on in life, manage all these different careers, like yourself, like, being part of a team
Hmm.
sports is a tremendous added value to your life.
Life development.
Exactly, there's things that parents can't teach,
No, no.
you know.
What's the stat about? If you look at the Fortune 500 CEOs, I think it's a statistic about like there's a high percentage of those who have a background in college sports and or higher. You know what I
80%
mean? Yep.
of women
Yep.
that have played sports,
Hmm.
team sport at a younger age,
Hmm. Hmm.
are now, executive of this world.
Right,
So
right, right. I love that. Now, look, the one thing I admire about you the most, I know we got to wrap this conversation up pretty soon, is your focus on wellness from a holistic standpoint, from a mental standpoint, from a physical standpoint. You look good, you play good, you feel good. Talk to me a little bit about why that is so core to who you are and how you incorporate that into the many businesses and ventures that you have, not only for yourself, obviously, but for your employees and your staff and the like.
So for me, there's two things to that approach. First, I'm someone that understand and value traditions. So if you look at the traditional ways of doing things, there's a big element of mental health, and mental awareness. Believing in things that you can see with your eyes, and taking the time to close your eyes and to
Visualize.
visualize,
Yeah.
and all this meditation, those are very traditional practice, so that I'm very in tune with that. And on the other part is, for me, I've been doing yoga my whole career, seriously. And I started, actually not my whole career, I started my late year in San Antonio, but I was full blown when I was in Dallas.
Yeah, yeah.
My sensei was Chinook, and
Chanook!
Chinook
I know
just like
Chanook
me.
very well.
And he traveled with me wherever I went.
Yeah.
Like, Chinook and me are really close.
Yeah.
And I think that it is a hidden secret. It's a great tool for athletes, but not only athletes, for people in general to tap in.
To that inner
Yes,
awareness. You know what I mean?
exactly. And I
Yeah.
think that unlock a lot of things for folks. And if you look at the greatest, they might not say it, but if
You
you
know what's crazy? I think that a lot more people are saying it now than there ever have been. You're looking at, I think, the Kansas City Chiefs. Like, there are a host of teams, and I think sometimes some of these practices are been looked at as feminine, possibly soft, possibly, have you. But I think when people are really saying, spend time with yourself, journal, visualize, right? And I love that. Obviously, you've been on this for a minute, right? And I like that that's a core of who you are. So I look, you've had an amazing career in sports. You're having an amazing career as an executive, and on the personal side, as a father, as all of the things. What's left, Jan? What else? What else is left in life, man?
No, it's a lot left. This second chapter in my life is huge. I obviously left the comfort that I had in the U.S. to get back home, and developing sports, developing basketball at home is very challenging. But behind great challenges is great opportunity.
Opportunities,
So I'm
1,000%.
really keyed on these opportunities. A ton of work has to be done. So I will tell you that I'm more busy now.
Yeah. Than
With
you were before.
exactly.
I love that. I love that. So, okay, as a parting word, there obviously, we just talked about one when we begun. a lot of players who are from the continent, who are recognizing their continental roots. What is your parting advice on, what they can do? Or, and granted, it looks different for everybody, right? But if you could say one thing to all the kids who are from home and saying, hey, look, home is waiting for you, there's work to be done, what would it be?
No, I think the first thing to do is to actually spend time on the continent. As player, we're so busy and consumed by obviously wanting to be the best player we can be. So we spend a lot of time in the gym, but I think it is also very beneficial to maybe not spend that much time in the gym, but go and see where you come from. Spend some time on the continent, see how other people live, get closer. Because our continent is very resourceful, is amazing. The values that we have, the people that we have are really, truly amazing people. And I believe that taking that step forward and that step in that direction would unlock so much things. And I want to finish on that. Is sometimes it could be challenging for somebody that didn't grew up in Africa or that's part of the diaspora to that wants to come home but don't know how
They don't really
to.
know how, right?
Yeah, I think that now, what we have going with NBA Africa and the BAL is the best platform that we have when it comes to sport on the African continent. It is a very safe platform. Obviously, we with the BL, we are the only league outside America
Yeah.
that the NBA is doing. That should tell you something.
Yeah.
So get involved to whatever capacity you
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
because it is safe and it is truly an amazing journey to be on.
Yeah. Listen, I couldn't ask for a better ambassador for any of these programs because I mean, you sold me. I didn't even need to be sold, but I'm over here buying in. But listen, I'm always so excited to see you, to hear you, to see you work. To be abreast of all the things that you're touching across the world. Obviously, you are already part of the Afroballers family, so thank you for always answering the call whenever we call. And again, we look forward to keeping in touch with you. If there's any way we can support you, you always let us know. We were happy to talk to the people, and always, y'all make sure you keep it locked with this incredible mix. I feel like it's gonna be Jan for president here, and I don't know. He said second phase of his life. That's crazy. And before even reaching the sheer age of 40. So very excited to keep up with your journey. Happy to call you a friend, and thank you for all you do to continue to grow the game around the world. Thanks for joining us today.
I appreciate you.
Bye.